I don't know why I just love that song. It's just, man, it's been so many years, but I just love it. How's everybody doing? I hope you are ready for this one. Amen. Because we cannot just be coming to listen. So we need action points, and this is for action points. That's why we look at the cost of inactivity. So welcome, welcome, welcome. You are all very, very welcome. And let's share. Let's bring people on board who need to be here. Let's bring them on board, and let's build a community of greatness. A community of greatness where everybody is walking in their greatness. Everybody is walking in the fullness of their greatness. How cool would that be? How cool would that be? Wow. Yes. All right, all right, all right, all right, all right, all right. We thank God. We thank God. So let's bring people on board. Let's bring them on board. You're very welcome. And let's get this started. I have some testimonies that I'm going to share with you that are mind-boggling. Talk of testimonies. I'm going to share some mind-boggling testimonies with you. That's why I need you to get as many people who can be here. Oh, Lord have mercy. Yes, Dorcas. Yes, Kennedy. A community of greatness. Oh, I love that. I love that. That's who we are. That's who we are. We cannot be a community of talkers. We cannot be a community of listeners. We are a community of greatness because we're a community of doers. Greatness follows the doing, not the listening, not the speaking. It follows the doing. All right. And we were talking about taking that first step because, like we saw, the Lord said, when you step, when your feet touch the Jordan, that is when it will open. And so a lot of people, their Jordan, and Jordan is the bridge between you and your promised land. Their Jordan has not opened for one simple reason. Their feet are not wet. Their feet haven't gotten wet. You need to wet your feet to become great. You need to wet your feet to move into this destiny. You need to put your feet, step out, take the first step. I was talking to some clients that I was with over the week, in the course of the week. Phenomenal. People who are sitting down, having a conversation casually and say, yeah, we're ready to put about $200 million in this. There was no prayer. It was casually. And I think there's one thing I said, that when you step out, there are always partners that God has positioned for every vision. Every vision has its waiting partners. But it is the act of stepping out, getting your feet wet, that draws the partners to you. No matter what dimension it is. And I gave you the example of the other meeting I was having with some of my clients that were trying to raise funds for. And they had a vision, they had a budget of about 2 billion Kenya shillings. And my partners, my people said, we don't touch anything less than $200 million. So that means even a $200 million vision has waiting partners. Oh, wow. Is somebody hearing me? But now, so we talked about that. We now want to look at the other side of the coin, and we bring everything together. And that's the cost of inactivity. Jesus said, why do you call me Lord, Lord, and you don't do what I say? So you cannot call him Lord, Lord without the corresponding action. Faith is not a feeling, faith is a movement. And listen, Peter walked on water not because Jesus carried him, but because he took the first step. If Peter had stayed on that boat, in that boat, thinking, what if I sink? He would have missed his moment in history, and it would have been over. And I'm thinking, how many people are missing the defining moment of their life as a result of inactivity? The defining moment of their life. Are you hearing me today? Tom, my son, right now is in Nakuru. The government has brought together curriculum developers, all right, in every area you can think of, and to develop the curriculum that will drive training in Kenya going forward. And my son, Tomide, is part of that team, and he's in the content creation and digital marketing. In fact, he sent us a text that Kingdom Culture is fully represented because Isabella is also there. Now, this is it. If he had not taken the first step to set up his channel with Kalpa, Chennai to Lagos, if he had not taken the step to begin to write on LinkedIn about this, that, and people now see him as an authority in that, this will not be happening. Is somebody hearing me today? It is the act of stepping out, getting your feet wet, that will attract the partners and the support. Now, what do people do? A lot of people are waiting for the partners and the support before they step out. Is somebody hearing me? How many times have I met people and you ask, what do they say? Oh, I'm just waiting, that, we've been looking for sponsors, we've been looking for support, we've been looking for all. I say, what have you done? We've just been looking. It doesn't work like that, friends. It is the act of getting your feet wet that sends an alarm in the spirit to all those who can support you. The 10 lepers were healed as they went, not when they heard, not when they prayed, as they went. In the Bible, breakthroughs are rarely for those who wait, they are for those who move. So if you look at Hebrews 11, by faith, you see that everything was an action. By faith, Noah moved to build an ark. By faith, Abraham left where he was. By faith, everybody was moving. Inactivity, listen, is disobedience in disguise. Inactivity is disobedience in disguise. It's a spiritual rebellion disguised as caution. And I'm going to look at it from different perspectives. We're going to look at historically. We're going to look at scientifically. We're going to look at different contexts. Is somebody hearing me today? Inactivity is spiritual rebellion disguised as caution. So you cover it up with, I'm just being cautious. And if you didn't listen to the earlier part, please listen to it, because People hide behind personality. People hide behind Abraham's 25 years. Let's unmask all these things. All right? Look, Wangari Maathai, who is somebody I always talk about, write about, because she inspired me. Now, for someone, I've been in so many capitals of the world. I tell you, Nairobi stands out as one of the greenest capitals in the world. It is, if you look at Nairobi from Sanibel, you just see green, green, green. That is the legacy of Professor Wangari Maathai. She did not start with an international movement. She did not start with international support. She did not start with a Nobel Prize. She said, her little thing. She started by planting trees one by one. Are you hearing me today? The quote what I quoted at the end of the first session was Martin Luther King. All right? He said, if you can't fly, run. If you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl, or keep moving. And that's exactly what he did. History is shaped by those who moved when it was easier to sit. Let me say that again. History is shaped by those who moved when it was easier to sit. In every generation, the cost of inactivity has been delay, destruction, and the domination of inferior voices. That is the sad part. Lillian Kenya, you're very welcome to the Kingdom Culture. In every generation, the cost of inactivity, and the small costs are delay, destruction, but I think the saddest and most devastating is the domination of inferior voices. While the right people waited, the wrong people moved. And the right people now become subject to the authority of the wrong people. And that is the story of a lot of the challenges we have in Africa. The right people sit down in the clubs, drink, and criticize the government, criticize everything that's going on. So that opens the door for the wrong people to step in and do it. And that's why I developed the gap doctrine, that I am not going to complain about what I have not made an attempt to solve. Are you hearing me? That's why I've embarked upon it. Without being a government, we will transform prison service in Kenya. We will work to transform immigration. We are working to set up universities. We are already working on that with President Obasanjo and other partners that are coming in. And then, oh, by the way, on Thursday, we resume our street university classes. Is somebody hearing me today? And I'll just look out for more details on that. On Zoom. Morning, James. Why are you in the first session, James? We're going to kick off. Because when the right people are waiting, the wrong people get in. And because of the inactivity of the right people are now dominated over by inferior voices. Superior thinking, superior minds dominated by inferior minds simply because of the inactivity of the superior minds. Come on. Hey, that grieves me. That grieves me. So I'm not going to wait and say, oh, government, morning, Gloria. I'm not going to wait and say, oh, government, this government, that government, that. No. If I see a gap, what do I know? What can I do? Who do I know? 3 questions. And we see how we can fill that gap. Is somebody hearing me today? You know, let me tell you something. Even scientifically, the body thrives on movement. Body thrives on movement. The immune system, it weakens when you're not active. Inactivity at the cellular level leads to decay. The same is true of dreams. Listen, you don't even have to be a rocket scientist. Anything left on its own will tend to destruction. Build a house today. It is brand new, and just leave it on its own for 6 months. Nobody goes in, just leave it. That house will begin to decay. It will begin to have problems. That is how dangerous inactivity is. You buy a car, brand new, leave it, don't move it for a year. By the time you go back, that car that was brand new, you have to take it to the mechanic first. Because anything left on its own in a state of inactivity will deteriorate. Can you imagine the number of people whose lives that will be going up is deteriorating because of the inactivity? They are waiting. Procrastination, psychologically, it increases stress, anxiety, it increases mental fatigue. And the minute the activity stops, dopamine, it drops. When you are inactive concerning your dream, you don't just lose time, you lose vitality. Inactivity is costly. I think it was Edmund Burke that said the only thing necessary for evil to triumph is when good men do nothing. Are you hearing me? And then the good people do nothing, then you now start complaining about the people that are doing something. Are you hearing me today? When, let me tell you something. I have 2 new books out this week. 2 new books out this week, bringing the number of books to 26. One is titled Yes and No, the most important words on the planet. Then the other one is called Life After a Heart Attack, Lessons Learned and Warnings for You. 2 books this week. And what I discovered when that heart attack happened and I was on the floor here, let me tell you something. My greatest stress when I was on the ground was not the stress of regret. It was the stress of the things I should have done that I had not done. Are you hearing me today? That was it. That's why today I'm on a roll. No, that can stop me. I'm on a roll. Because if you're a car that can go at 260 kilometers per hour, and then you are driving at 60 kilometers per hour, whose fault is that? You can't blame the devil. Whose fault is it? So I realized that I'm a car that can go at 300 kilometers per hour. I've been doing 40, 50 kilometers per hour. I stepped on the gas, man. Oh, I stepped on the gas after that heart attack. I said, nothing. It's going to slow me down. I'm going to just keep rolling out things. Are you hearing me? President Obasanjo said to me, he said, people die first in 2 places, They die in their head and they die in their legs. He said, people ask him, when are you going to stop? When are you going to retire? He said, anybody who is asking him that is asking, when are you going to die? He says people die in their heads and in their legs. That's why he said at any point in time, he has 5 mega projects he's thinking of, and he's always active. Yesterday, something very interesting happened. I spoke to someone who is much younger than President Obasanjo, and he's also he's been in leadership, ran for president in his country. And I said, I just floated an idea by him. And he responded and said, Wale, I am too old to get involved in things like this. He's at least 10 years younger than Obasanjo. Then Taiwo said something scary. Taiwo said, what a shame. He's just waiting to die. What? Are you hearing me today? You must not stop thinking. You must not stop moving. You must not stop. And you see, inactivity is often a fear-driven philosophy that you cover in the disguise of wisdom. It's fear. But you disguise it as, we're just watching, observing. He that observes the wind will not sow. It feels safer, but it's the most dangerous thing you can do to your potential. I would rather fail at something than succeed at nothing. Are you hearing me? Everybody calls you a success because you've not done anything that one can fail at. So the real cost of inactivity, spiritually, it's disobedience. Disobedience. Welcome, Job. It's disobedience, missed divine moments. Historically, it's a lost legacy and lost impact. Scientifically, it's mental, emotional, physical deterioration. And philosophically, it's a life of regret dressed as caution. So my question to you, if you are not moving, or listen, if you are not moving, you are decaying. There is nothing like we're just there. Anything left to itself will decay. Even if it is a house you just built, brand new, a car you just bought, brand new, if you leave it, nobody pays attention to it, leave it to itself, it will begin to decay. If you are not moving, you are decayed. If you are not acting, you are abdicating your role. You are abdicating your throne. So let's stop romanticizing waiting. Not all waiting is faithful. A lot of it is fear. And what I find, look, I tell this myself, your next breakthrough does not need more information. You need activation. Because if we have been in this platform, this community together, I believe we have enough information to change the world. So your next breakthrough is activation. Listen, the cost of inaction is slow, silent death of everything you could have become. The cost of inactivity is slow, silent death of everything you could have become. So, while you may not be committing suicide physically, a lot of people are committing the suicide of their destiny silently, and they excuse it. We waiting. They excuse it. We are planning. They excuse it. So you look inwards. What is the first step you need to take? You have been avoiding. Have a meeting with yourself. What is the first step you have been avoiding? Eh? So this year, how many books have I done? I've done personal branding, brand control. I've done limitless. I've done this other uh brand control, limitless. These two new ones, and then we've done books for how many authors in this year, and we're not slowing down. We're stepping on the gas because I cannot be a car that can do 300 kilometers per hour. And then listen, oh, the car can do 300 kilometers per hour. You are doing 50 kilometers per hour, and you are feeling on top of the world because you are overtaking a tuk-tuk. Eh? Tuk-tuk is what's that? It's rickshaw, keke mawa, keke. You are overtaking a tuk-tuk. You are doing 50 kilometers per hour, and you are very happy. That's all the people we are passing. Never compare yourself with those behind you. Always compare yourself with those ahead of you. What am I saying? I'm not going to settle down because I've done more than this person. No. So I've done 26 books. Yet there are people like Kenneth Hagin who had over 100 books. People like Bishop Oyedepo with books. So I cannot sit down because I'm looking at somebody who has not written one book and say, at least I've written 26 books. This person has not written. That is the way to decay. That is the way to decay. Eh? I'm looking at people who have done greater stuff. And that's why I say, if you are the best in your company, are you the best in the nation? If you are the best in the nation, are you the best in the region? If you are the best in the region, are you the best in the continent? If you are the best in the continent, are you the best in the world? And if peradventure you are the best in the world, are you the best in history? That generations after will be trying to catch up with you. The pyramids in Egypt, 3,800 years, tallest man-made structure on the planet. That means nobody could outthink them for nearly 4,000 years. That is the way I want to be. Some people, their brain dies before they die. So they're just walking zombies, mumu. Other people, their brains die when they die. But there are some people, their brains never die. The impact of their existence is eternal. Kaya. Are you hearing me today? So what is the first step you have been avoiding? What dream has sat idle because you have convinced yourself you are not ready? Oh yeah, begin to write it. What dream? These are things you are going to have a meeting with yourself. You sat idle, you convince yourself, I'm not ready. When are you hearing me? You don't have to know the whole journey. Just take the first step. That's how transformation begins, and that's how legacies are built. And that's how ordinary lives become extraordinary. Are you hearing me? Someone says, time. Let me tell you something with all honesty and modesty. I think I'm a very busy human being. Okay? But I have my eyes on the goal. At night, when I get up, I'm pouring into books, writing, non-stop writing. When I'm on the planes, I'm writing. I'm writing. Somebody said, how are you able to write with such, I said, Malcolm Gladwell has what he called the 10,000 hour rule. I said, I wrote 1 hour, I wrote 1,000 words a week for the newspaper for 15 years. And then I was writing 3,000 words every 2 weeks or so for Marketing Africa magazine, besides what I've been writing. So I've paid my dues. When I started, it didn't look like I had something to write about, but I started all the same. And today, the story is different. I told you there is support for you globally, but that support is activated by your first step. Get your feet wet. As I wrote the first book, can you imagine? I told you, I said a book that I wrote many years ago, 1999. Somebody saw a copy in America, reached out to me on LinkedIn and said, how can we get copies of this book? You've deceived yourself that, oh, I'm not ready. I don't have what it takes. Yeah. And the devil just laughs because you such people, they don't need the devil. They are their own devil. They stop themselves. All right? Your miracle is in your movement. Your miracle is in your movement. Let me tell you something else I learned. You will never outgrow first steps. That means you will never get to a point where it's like, yeah, everything is together now. Everything is together. Let's just wait. No. Jesus talked about that. This guy said, look at me. I'm successful. Look at it. Everything is working. Jesus said, today, your soul is going to be required of you. Every new level, no matter how high, will require another first step. Every new level will require another first step. You may have influence, you may have experience, you may have network, but when a new vision, when you step through one door, the vision grows, you see another thing, you step in, and you keep working, you keep stepping. That's how destiny works. I use myself as an example. Right now, I am walking into a new dimension, a vision much bigger than myself. And I've been talking about it for years. And God set me on the path because when I started 1989, my first job was at the Institute for Policy and Strategic Studies. So God has always put my life in the path of leadership. As far back as then, I was interacting with leaders. Then I come here and then the Kenya School of Government and then special advisor here and there in government and all that, But the dream is that, and I kept saying it, transforming Africa one mind at a time. We would drive African collaboration for excellence. That's my, transforming the way Africans think. And how I'm going to do this is to, begin to put down, how do we do this? Say, if we can gather Africa's finest minds, we gather former heads of states together, and then we bring current policy makers, we bring business leaders, put them together in a place. Let them have conversation. Let the former heads of state talk about their 2020 vision based on hindsight. All right? And let's create a policy think tank that reshapes the future of Africa. So why do you want to work with former heads of state? They have something incumbents don't have. They have the gift of hindsight without the burden of political pressure. They've seen it. They've sat at the tables of I was with when I was with Baba Obasanjo, and he was talking about just 2-3 months ago, he was with the president of China. Because the truth is this: once you're a president for life. It's just that some are sitting on the seat, but for others, where you go, you are president. They've sat at tables of power. They know what works, what doesn't work. Now they are free from the weight of re-election and party interest. And I saw it, that freedom is fertile ground for real conversations and continental solutions. So what was my first step? I offered to serve. I gave myself to serve. That was my first step. Wholehearted, unquestioning. I told President Obasanjo, President Goodluck Jonathan, I didn't meet them to pitch an idea or to make a connection. I didn't ask for endorsement. I didn't ask for anything. I said, and these are my exact words, God is my witness. I said, let me be your errand boy. Are you hearing me? Say, you need anything done, send me. That was, and that's why I'm saying your step one at different levels is different. My step one, let me be your errand boy. People were calling me their mentor. People are calling me leader. People are calling me all sorts of things. I said, let me be your errand boy. And that did not reduce me. It revealed something to them. But what did it do? It opened a new door of visibility. Not visibility for applause and followers. No, I don't do that. Visibility that boosted my credibility. You can imagine when a whole president, Jonathan, says, come and sit in the car with me. Boy. When a whole president of Obasanjo says, anybody that wants to do anything, says, he calls me, or tell them to call me. So, that first step of submission as errand boy apparently was a voice of wisdom, because people now began to see that I was a trustworthy player at the highest levels, and it created a ripple effect. A ripple effect. Just in the first service, when we were having the first service, a message came in. I was like, confirmation that I'm supposed to meet President Jakaya Kikwete in Dar es Salaam later this week. A door opened for me to meet President Thabo Mbeki. I'm not pushing for this, but you see, when your feet get wet, everything that aligns with that vision is drawn towards you. Now I'm standing on the threshold of another bold first step. I call it the African Presidential Reflections. We're hosting it at the Kenya School of Government, bringing former presidents, elder statesmen, and top business minds in candid, forward-looking dialogue on the future with, like I said, policy issues, and we will implement, we're recommending, or we have implementation mechanisms in place. Now, that's not just that's leading somewhere else. Because you all remember, I've always said it, that a day will come, I will host my own Davos right here in this country, in my own ranch, where they will all come from all over. And we build generational solutions for the continent. I hope somebody is hearing me today. If I had not taken the first step, would I be getting an appointment to meet with President Kikwete? Would I be getting invitations from presidents to come and meet with them? to come and help them? You never graduate from first step. So the higher you go, the deeper your humility must become. Your life, I say this again, is the sum total of the steps you are willing to take in the direction of your dream. Somebody hearing me? So have a meeting with yourself, because if you are not stepping, if you are not stepping, you are not moving. If you are not moving, you are not growing. If you are not growing, you are dying. Don't despise the small beginnings. And I've told you different small beginnings. One of my beginnings was in the cyber cafe. Don't downplay the errand boy season, no matter how big you have become. At the time I was submitting to be errand boy, newspaper is calling me the highest paid consultant. I'm submitting to be the errand boy. Because errand boys of today are the nation builders and the pillars of tomorrow. Oh, is somebody hearing me today? So, go and have a meeting with yourself. What lie have you subscribed to? Thinking, convincing yourself it's wisdom. Convincing yourself is wisdom. Hidden behind it. Let's get out of it. So this week, what's the challenge for the week? It's very simple. Challenge for the week is, what have you been avoiding? Identify it. Like I said, I hated public places where I'll be interacting with people because I like my space. I'm very introverted when I'm not working, I'm a very introverted person. And so when I do what I need to do out there, I finish and I just disappear. I realize, hey, so what first steps have you been avoiding? I remember many years ago when we didn't have a house, we were staying with Dolly. And listen, every day we are praying, we are confessing, we are thanking God for a house. I'll play the keyboard. We will praise God from morning till night. Praise, 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 praise for a house. Almost nothing happened. And one day, God just had mercy on me that this foolish boy, let me just, his heart is pure. God just had mercy on me. His heart is pure. And he said, there's a place in the Bible where Moses cried out to God, and God said, you don't cry out to me, move forward. That means God himself said, my friend, this is not the time to pray. This is the time to move. If you are praying when it's time to move, nothing will happen now. So God told him, son, is the house coming to meet you here? No, sir. Have you looked for a house? No, sir. Okay. I went into papers. I saw Lloyd Masika, real estate. I called them. That same day. We went to look at houses. And, it's a very funny thing. They took us to one place. I said, no. I said, take me to somewhere that looks like us. They took us to this new apartment, lovely. First thing I saw was a car with red registration, diplomatic. I said, okay, good. If it's good for diplomat, it's good for God's ambassador. Taiwo and we got to the house. It was big. It was nice. It was amazing. Now, listen. When we were living in Kilifi before then, because we were paying 15,000, 16,000 a month. Listen, oh, and we never paid it at a go. Mm-mm. We were always paying in installments. So by the time we finish paying the installment, it's time to start again. So 16, that's my calculator. What is 16 times 12? So I want to show you how this thing works. Just wait, let me show you how this thing works. 16,000 times 12. So every month, every year, that's 192,000. Okay? We never paid it at a go. Now, we are now in this lovely place. Then they tell us the rent. It was, anyway, 80,000 service charge. By the time we finished, it was coming to about 100,000 a month. Are you hearing me? So, all of a sudden, we were stretched from 100,000, from 192,000 a year to 1.2 million a year. The stretch. That was like the book I want you to give me, that top book of Trump. 1.2 million a year stretch. So guess what we did? We signed the lease. Okay? We signed the lease. When we signed the lease, listen, Taiwo always tells that story that she was thinking, how? And what we did was we signed the lease like for starting from November, or was it December? And this was October. So this was October, we signed the lease. Now, that meant we needed to come with 1 month's rent, 2 months deposit. So we needed to come with 300,000 shillings. That's a little under $3,000. That's what we needed to come with. They asked for my passport, took photocopies, did everything. So we signed, we were sorted. Okay? Remember, we have never paid 16,000 a month. We never paid it at a go. Now, listen, let me show you. So 300,000, we are now asked to pay 18 months. No. What we're paying for 3 months, that 300,000 was equivalent of about 18 months where we are coming from. We've never paid 1 month at a go. You don't know what is possible in your life until you step in the water. Smallness is a choice. So smallness is a choice. We signed that deal and we shook hands and we said, don't worry, before 1st of December when we move in, we would have paid. So we have stepped in the direction of our dream. Then one day, I get a call. There was an international day coming, and they needed a song, an anthem to be composed. They had known all the time the anthem had come from the US, but they now wanted to localize. So they wanted a local artist to create and compose. So they threw it open as a competition. Guess what? I won. And I didn't use a sophisticated studio. I used my Yamaha to do the music. We did a contraption, and we won. Guess what? $10,000. $10,000. We won. I paid that rent with attitude. Is somebody hearing me? Are you hearing me today? Smallness is a choice. I want everybody here to write from this day. This is how you are going to write it. From this day, I refuse to be small. It is a choice. From this day, I refuse to be small. We would never have known we could live in that kind of place. We would never have known if we had not taken that step. We would never have known. What greatness are you preventing yourself from entering into? In this book, I told you, it's called Think Big by Donald Trump. You know, I understood Donald Trump's business. I don't understand his politics, so let me be the first to tell you. This is a 2007 book. 2007 book, okay? And in this book, he co-wrote this book with a guy called Bill Zanker. And Bill Zanker says that he was running a training program in New York and he wanted Trump to come so badly. All right? He wanted Trump to come. He said, it was called the Learning Annex. He wanted Trump to come. Everybody, listen, everybody came and he was telling them, give your time to come and teach my students as charity. They did. Everybody came, big names came, they spoke for charity. Listen, I'm going to read, except for Donald Trump. He will not even take my call. One day I called Trump's office and was put through to his personal secretary, Norma. I knew I could not get Trump's attention using my usual pitch. He would not talk to me. So I had to do something different to get his attention. Listen, I decided to pick his interest with money, which is extremely unusual for me. But I really wanted to get him, so I decided to go for it. I offered what to me seemed like an enormous amount of money, $10,000. That's it? His secretary asked, and dismissed my offer as if it was a cheap bottle of wine. She said, I don't think so. And she hung up the phone. You know, it's very important to surround yourself with people who understand you. That's why Cynthia and I, we've been together for so many years. She understands me. Listen, it took a lot of courage. A few days later, I called Norma again. I said, I'll give Mr. Trump $25,000. Norma said, nope, he's not interested. I was stunned. After that, I realized I'd been playing it safe. The following week, I took an enormous risk. I offered $100,000. It was the most money I've ever offered anyone. It had no impact on Norma, who said without hesitation, no way, and dropped the phone. I sat back and thought really hard about what to do next. Should I drop the idea of having Donald Trump or should I keep trying? I did not know what to do. Then I remembered what Tony Robbins had taught me. Listen, if you want to make it big, you've got to push yourself beyond your limits. You've got to pump yourself up and get into a hyper mental state. And you have to do this yourself. Nobody can do it for you. I decided I wanted to be big. Donald Trump was the ultimate Mr. Big. We all have heroes. Donald Trump was mine. If I wanted to play at the same arena as him, I had to push myself to a new level. I pushed out my chest. I took a deep breath. I gathered all the energy I could muster. Then I called Norma at Donald Trump's office and I offered $1 million for Trump to speak for 1 hour at the Learning Annex. At the time, the Learning Annex had never grossed, listen, we've never grossed more than $5 million, 5.5 million in the entire year. I offered him $1 million. I rarely had a class of more than a few hundred students. How was I going to get my money back? He said that was beyond me at the moment. I knew I had to do it. I just knew it. Come on. He had to step in the water for him to become great. He said, I just knew it. I listened to my gut. I made the call. And Norma said, that's very interesting. I'll talk to Donald about it. I hung up the phone. I went to the bathroom and promptly I threw up. Really, my mind was racing. My heart was pounding. What had I done? If it did not work out, I would lose everything. In one moment, listen, I had gone to a whole new level in my life and it felt very uncomfortable, but it was also exhilarating. What I had just done was insane, but it felt great. In less than 1 hour, Donald Trump called me himself. When I picked up the phone, I could not believe I was talking with Donald Trump. I thought maybe it was a friend goofing, but it was Donald. He said, Bill, I like the Learning Annex and you made me a nice offer. Let me ask you, how many people are you going to get for this event? Up till then, most of our classes had between 500 and 700 people. The biggest class had been for a psychic. We had never had more than a few hundred students in any of our events. I told him, I'll get 1,000 people. In my mind, 1,000 people was a huge number. Trump retorted, I will do it if you can promise me you will get 10,000 people. That's why I like this guy's business. I don't know why he went into politics. Honestly, if he didn't go into politics, I'll still be following him today. 10,000 people. I'd never imagined getting 10,000 people in my wildest dreams. But I boldly said, yes, I'll get 10,000 people, no problem. You never say no to an opportunity to be greater than you are. Never say no to an opportunity to be greater than you are. He said, I've never done this. I said, well, you know what? No problem. I will do it. And that was it. Trump said, my lawyer will send over the paperwork. The deal was done. By saying yes, I had made a solid commitment to living very big, bigger than ever before. How many people are going to make that commitment this week? That moment changed my life. Donald Trump took me to a whole new level. I started doing things I had never done before. I started thinking on a much larger scale. I had to get 10,000 people to come and see Donald Trump. And guess what? This is a 2007 book. This was when he was doing The Apprentice. So everyone wanted to learn from Donald. The registration started flying in. And that is how the Learning Annex Wealth Expo came about. As it turned out, listen, I got more than 10,000 people. I promised that the 10,000 people I promised Trump. Listen, over 31,500 people attended. Our first Learning Annex Wealth Expo in 2004. It was an amazing turnout. As a result, it was very easy to pay Donald Trump his fee. Trump knew all along I could do it. I thank him for challenging me to change the way I think. The experience proved to me beyond any doubt, when you think big, big things come to you. My company has grown 400% since I met Donald Trump. Since he stretched, guess what? He now had 17 other programs where he paid Trump $1 million for 17, signed him up for 17 other deals. Is somebody hearing me today? You are the only obstacle between you and your greatness. So step in the water. Get your feet wet. What have you been avoiding? What lie to consolidate smallness have you told yourself? Get over it. So this week, your assignment is to step in the water. If you have to throw up after, like Bill Zanka did when he made that commitment, do it. Are you hearing me? And I want to declare where you are today is the smallest you will ever be all the days of your life. You take this step. Let God be true and let every man be a liar. Are you hearing me? The Lord who has not changed, he said, you step into it. Then the Jordan will part. This guy stepped into it. The $1 million he did not have, and it opened up the door for him to pay $18 million over a period of time. Company grew 400%. If I had not taken the initial steps I took, I would not be invited by presidents, meeting with presidents, and doing all the things we are doing today. I could have sat down very comfy with my consulting and saying, hey, I could have sat down as an author of one book and say, hey, oh, but I realized nobody remembers number 2. So everything I've put my hand on, I must be number 1. I must be number 1. And that is what drives me. Did somebody get it today? Did somebody get it today? How many people are going to step in the water this week? Oh, it's waiting for you. That greatness is waiting for you. Until you do something you have not done before, don't expect to receive something you have never received before. God bless you. Keep winning, keep speaking, keep giving, and just explode. We are a community of greatness, not a community of mediocres, not a community of complainers, not a community of listeners, not a community of talkers, but a community of greatness. And in your various areas, in our different fields, the history of this continent will not be complete without talking about our contribution in the name of Jesus Christ. Oh, hallelujah. Somebody getting me today. It is your time. It is your time. We are a community of greatness. That's who we are. Every single person, no one left behind. Phew. Have a great week. Have a great week. Look out on WhatsApp and all that. We're going to give you information about the Street University class that's going to resume. And then all the things that's going on. Pray for us. Like you heard, we're in Tanzania this week with both President Kikwete and President Suluhu. So just keep us in prayer. All right? And yeah, see you and keep winning. Bye.